I'm done. I'm not cleaning the track anymore. But I have a solution. Coming up next on the Baldy Palms Railroad. Hey O-Scalers, welcome back to the channel. As I said in the beginning of this episode, I'm tired of cleaning the track. As an outside O-scale layout, the only time to run the trains, you have to clean the track. So, slowly getting tired of that because I like sometimes on the spur of the moment to run some trains. Family comes over, friends come over, and to take the 10 or 15 minutes to clean the track all the time can be burdensome. So, doing some research, and I find a few people out on YouTube that run dead rail. So, got me thinking, man, it's time for to convert the Baldy Palms Railroad into dead rail. For those of you not familiar with dead rail is simply the operation of the train through an alternate power source, usually a battery, mounted in the locomotive or tender on a steamer, or in a trailing boxcar or some other type of car that can hold a battery and is connected to the locomotive with a tether. The rails have no electricity in them whatsoever and are just strictly used for guidance. So in this episode, we're going to take my GP38 LionChief Plus, and we're going to go through the steps of converting this from rail pickup of the electricity to battery operation so we can move this out to the layout again and run it on dead rail. So let's get started. All right, for starters, flip the engine upside down. We got to take the shell off, and there's usually a few screws. I see a couple of screws here on this end and a couple of screws over here. I think that might be just 4 screws. So let me take those 4 screws off and see if this shell comes off. All right, got the screws off. There we go. So we need to identify the pickup wires that are coming from the rails and going to the PCB board. And we need to identify also the connections for the power going to the motors and the connections for the pickup rails going to the PC board, and identify all that. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, so after examining the wires, this is what I came up with. You got to be pretty careful, and you want to know which wire we're looking for. So we have to identify the wires. So I had to cut off one of the looms here, one of the little zip ties. Just had to cut that off so I can kind of follow the wires a little bit here. Don't think that just because it's a particular color, meaning it's a particular type of wire. So the wire colors really don't matter. You got to follow the wires and see where they go. So my first was here. This is the biggest plug, and what I found on most LionChief locomotives, that this plug here is the JST EH 2.5 plug. This one is most likely the power. So I identified that one and followed the wires. Like here's the black one. Black one is tied into these 2 blue wires. And if you follow those back, they go back to the chassis right here and then all the way down right here. So I identified this one as the ground wire. And then looking at the other wire, this brown wire comes up and ties into 2 black wires. One black with a white and another black with a white. And if you follow those wires, they go back down into here below the motor. And the other one on this side goes down in here. So those are the center rail pickup wires. So I've identified that this is my connection right here. So all I need to do is disconnect this these wires tie the grounds back together again to the battery ground, and then hook up this one to positive. Let's go ahead and do that. I removed the shrink wrap off the two leads right here, and I've got my this is going to be my new connector. This is a JST-PH 2.0 connector. I've decided to use that as my main connector for my battery cars. So I got myself a little lead right here. I'm going to go ahead and solder this up, and we run this through. If you can see over here, I run it underneath one of the holes that's already on the locomotive, and I'll just somehow mount it underneath there so it doesn't get caught up in the trucks. And we're going to run this wire and tie it into here and disconnect the black wires and tie everything back in, and then we will get power from the battery car now from here going to there instead of from the tracks. So let me get this all soldered up, get this wire in together, and get it all soldered up here to the PCB board and to these wires, and I'll show you what we do after that. Okay, before I solder everything up, we are going to just do a dry run of everything. I just got everything kind of jumpered together. Here is the battery car wire going over here to the battery. There's a power switch underneath the chassis of the battery car. And we got the voltmeter. So currently right now we have 0 volts coming out. We have the yellow one going to the positive and the black going to the blue, which is the negative one. And so once I turn on the switch, if everything goes right, the unit should turn on, and we should have whatever the voltage is on the battery car. So let's see what we got. All right. We got 15.2 volts coming out of the battery car, and I do hear that distinctive chirp, and I can see the lights blinking on the unit here. So now we're just going to turn the remote on. I have the Santa Fe 3441 remote. We're going to go ahead and power that on, and we should fire it off. And there we go. We have the engine firing off.
Please hold at your location. Copy, we're holding.
All right, let's see if it goes forward. And now we're moving forward.
Train is moving, Yardmaster. Have a good run. Out.
And we'll go to reverse. All right. So it looks like everything is going to work. So now I'm going to shut her down. And then we turn off the battery power. Everything's quiet. We got, again, 0 volts here on the voltmeter. So I'm going to go ahead and tie everything together, put the shell on, and give it another test drive. Okay, so I've soldered all the wires, hooked it up. I also labeled the third rail wires in case I ever want to hook it up for third rail operation in the future. So now simply put the shell back on, we'll put the screws back in, and we'll give it a little test drive on the test track here right after that. All right, so I got everything all buttoned up, screwed down, got it on the test track. Let's give it a shot here. Power on. Got the distinctive lights and the distinctive sound. We're going to fire up the remote. There we go. We got horn, crew talk.
Please hold at your location. Copy, we're holding.
And the bell. Alright, now we're going to move it out. Looks like it goes forward. Goes backward. Alright, let's take it out to the layout and see how it runs. Alright, got it on the track. I had to change out the battery car because the other one, I think the battery died. So I got the Chicago Northwestern battery car.
Please hold at your location. Copy, we're holding. You are clear on signal indication. Copy that.
Alright, let's move it out. Coming across Little Falls Bridge, coming into Sampson Y Junction. All right, looks like a successful run. The battery car, we had a little issue. I fixed the plug. One of the prongs was pushing out, so that's all it was wrong with the battery on that Baltimore, Ohio. But we fixed it. All right, so we had a successful run out on the layout. So if you like this episode, please hit the thumbs up button, and then also hit the subscribe button and ring that bell for future episodes. Comments are always welcome. And until next time, thanks for watching.